Now's the time to return to the podcast with the informers. I don't know how to rhyme. It's just great to be back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Need More Info, a podcast exploring the worlds of movies, video games, and TV shows. I'm your host, Nate. Going to try and give you a lovely musical intro as we go forward now. I will probably mess up as we go along, but I'll tell you two people who are not messing up, and that's my co-host today. Returning from last week is Fergus. How you doing, man?
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be back.
And returning again, it's James.
Hey guys, yeah, it's good to be back.
Yep, that's good. Yep, it's all good. Right. No, so Fergus, let's start with you, man. How's since we last spoke? I can't talk today. Words.
Really good. Went to a party over the weekend and have just bought some Mario Kart 8. So that's probably the next game I'm probably going to obsessively try and complete.
With all the tracks that they're constantly bringing up.
I haven't bought them yet, but I will probably, yes. Every track from every previous Mario Kart is available.
Yes, I've heard about this, which is going to be insane, to be honest. Like, that's over 100 tracks, if I'm correct. It's quite a few, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. How about yourself, James?
Yeah, I've been good. So I've been basically trying to still smash my way through Elden Ring. I'm determined to actually beat it. First Souls game that I will actually complete. I'm determined to do it. What else have I done? Also watched a film a couple of days ago, which I highly recommend, which is called Irresistible by Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart. It's a political film all about American politics, but it's got a very good. It's actually got a very good message. It's actually very bipartisan.
Sounds interesting. Myself, I went to Brighton Pride. It was very warm, very tiring. I'm still feeling it now. Honestly, I was going down on the train and it was madness. Like, you couldn't move. Every train, all 12 carriages were rammed, shoulder to shoulder, down the aisles, everything. It was madness. And even the trains were going, we're not stopping at other stations. We just have to go straight to Brighton. You have to get straight there. And then when we were there, it was great and everything. I bought this little telescope stool when I was there, and it was the best thing I ever bought because everyone else was sitting on the beach on the stones, and I was just on this little stool, and I was like, yeah. I didn't go in the sea, unfortunately, but I kind of wish I did because I'm still feeling the sun now because it was a lovely day. But it was an amazing day, a lovely parade. There was this woman dancing on top of a roof, on top of a flat. It was. She wasn't near the edge, but it was quite madness, and it was just a brilliant day. I coloured the beard, as you'll probably see in the preview image. People had a blue beard and purple hair, so I definitely rocked that with the glitter and the sparkle. And it was really fun. I also watched Prey, the Predator prequel movie that's on Disney Plus. I think we'll definitely talk about that more soon, but I'll give you a hint now. I give it an 8.59 out of 10. It was very, very good. Very good movie, and they're already talking about sequels. Basically, a lot of people are hoping that they do an Assassin's Creed. Basically, do a Predator film in different historical time periods: Norse, Japanese, African. Do a Predator movie in those regions, because the Prey movie is only an hour and 35 minutes in total, so it's quite it's quite condensed. I also started watching The Sandman. Haven't finished it yet. I thought I would, but. That was a brilliant. It's brilliant so far. Weird aspect ratio. It seems like the footage is very slightly, ever so slightly stretched out up, and that is actually intentional. So it's interesting that they did that. Finally, what else did I do? Well, we got the Pixel podcast out, people. Finally cracked the egg, finally figured out the formatting. Took me a long time, but hopefully I will cut down the editing time and we can get those Pixel versions out quicker before a Sunday evening. I'm hoping to get them out at latest by Saturday, and we can keep going there. But no, that was pretty much my week. It's I'm definitely looking forward to a bit of a break, to be honest. That's definitely for sure, because I haven't really stopped in the last week. And take a deep breath. But yes, people, it's always glad to be back here with you here. And again, with NMI, we like to give you all that lovely news and those lovely topics. Last week, myself and Fergus got into our top 5 TV anime. And what an interesting lists they were. If you checked out the references for some of those animes, people, you could definitely say why I say interesting lists, because Mine were, how could I put this? Very shonen basic. Fergus went in a different direction.
Yeah, there's a wide range of anime out there, and I think we explored at least 2 very separate avenues of that. Yeah, go and check it out if you want some interesting recommendations.
I mean, I'm air quoting people, but yeah, at least 2 different avenues, that's for sure. Basically, that fact that I couldn't even click one of those YouTube videos was insane, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. But this is a thing that exists within this world and needs to be, at least pointed out.
But yeah, fair enough then. Right. Anyway, people, you know what we do here. So basically, what's going to happen is today we're going back into the news. We're going back into another list, people. We're going to be talking about our favorite or top 5 cult movies. We'll probably do TV shows eventually, though. Cult TV shows are a bit looser because it's a bit more interesting when it comes to cult TV shows. But cult movies, we could definitely get hopefully some solid lists and some very good brief discussions from them. So yeah, right, people. I've done my intro. Hello, everyone. Hello, Fergus.
Hello.
Hello, James.
Hi.
Right, guys, do you reckon it's time to, people, as we say here, it's time to get on that news, right?
Tell us, Nate, what has happened this week?
So, it seems we're getting a Pac-Man movie, a live-action movie, and it's coming from the Jane the Virgin actor. Justin Baldoni is hoping to bring the exploits of Pac-Man to a movie theater near you, or more, technically wise, his production company Wayfarer Studios is backing a live-action film based on the popular arcade game, along with Bandai Namco Entertainment, the Japanese video game publisher that created Pac-Man, as well as Ace Combat, Galaga, and Tekken. This comes from Variety.com. Again, I don't know why. The Untitled movie is based on a story by Chuck Williams, who's experienced with adapting video games for the big screen, as a producer on the Paramount box office hit Sonic the Hedgehog. Baldoni, Manu Gaugi, and Andrew Colliff will produce on behalf of Wayfarer Studios, and Williams and Tim Kwok will produce through Lightbeam Entertainment. I'm interested to see how this goes because a live-action Pac-Man movie, is he just
This is what I was going to say. Is this gonna be 3D animated Pac-Man in a happy live-action 3D family? Or is someone actually going to dress up as Pac-Man?
Oh, God.
And what on earth is the justification for Pac-Man existing within, a IRL-ish world?
I imagine it'll be the same as Sonic, former. But do we need a Pac-Man live-action movie?
I mean, do you remember the Pixels movie? With Adam Sandler.
Yeah, I tried to watch it a couple of years ago. I got about 30 seconds in before I turned it off.
Do you know what they could do? And they're never going to do this because it's going to be a kids' movie. But they can make Pac-Man a serial killer, and the ghosts are his victims that he's taken care of before, and he's hunting down his next ones.
Or maybe somebody who's popped some hallucinogenic and he thinks everybody is a ghost. He has to keep popping hallucinogenics.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. I like that.
It could just be that someone happens to look like Pac-Man. Everyone treats him normally, and Pac-Man has to go to a very dull office job at an insurance company where everyone treats him as a normal human being.
You know what's going to happen there, right? He's going to talk normally throughout the entire film, and when he gets his final big moment, he's going to go wacka 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 wacka. That will be the final suit. That will be his power up. I guarantee it.
Yeah, probably, but also that will be very lame.
I mean, yeah, but I'd actually giggle at that, to be honest. If that's the hypeness of it, and the ghost go running away, that'd be
I don't have high expectations for this.
I'm interested to see a trailer, but I have absolutely no idea, in all seriousness, how the hell this works as a film.
Well, then we'll leave it there for now, people. But let's just say, I really like the actor Justin Baldoni. I actually watched Jane the Virgin. It's a really good show. It's like a comedy show based on a Latin telenovela in America, and it's on Netflix. I believe it's on Netflix. Highly recommend it. People had actually ended as well, which was really good. Moving along though from one adaptation to another. It seems we are getting the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie. It's going to be released in December 2024. I know they're still doing the Knuckles. I believe they're still doing the Knuckles TV series on Paramount Plus with Idris Elba. So again, Really enjoyed the second one. I thought the fact, like, they went more video gamey with it in the sequel. I know Jim Carrey said he kind of retired at the end of the second movie, so I think they have to bring it back. Or if you've seen the movie, you know how they tease the ending. A lot of people are saying they should just I'm not going to spoil it, people, because go watch on Paramount Plus. I believe it's there now. Keanu Reeves should be the voice in the next one. A lot of people are saying that, basically, for that character.
Oh, John Wick's going to enter the Sonic universe.
I mean, Fergus is like, God damn it, Nate. That works. Come on, like.
Yeah. So could a lot. I don't know. It's a very hard one to call.
But again, really look forward to it. I thought, I hopefully, just keeps getting bigger and better and everything. So yeah, right. Moving along to another movie adaptation. It seems that Lady Gaga has confirmed that she is starring in Joker. Right. I don't even know how I'm going to pronounce this, but Folie à deux? Is that
okay?
Is that you pronounce it?
Folie à deux, yeah.
Folie à deux. So yeah, this comes from superherohype.com. Warner Brothers is finally set for a full 2024 debut for the Joker sequel, Joker Folie à deux. Now the Joker seemingly has his leading lady, singer and actress Lady Gaga, has confirmed early reports that she will co-star in the film alongside Wacka and Phoenix. Back in June, Lady Gaga, whose real name is Stefani Germanato, was linked to the role of Dr. Harleen Quinzel / Harley Quinn. But she tweeted this very recently, in the last couple of days, that she is going to be in it. Now, I'm very make sure you pause these people when you actually play them. But again, I know there's rumors that they're trying to bring Zazie Beetz back as well, who's in the original movie, the original love interest in the movie. So I'm wondering, do you remember this theory, James, that we had about how the Joker movie will be sort of like a different tellings of his origin story? Like, he's that mentally broken that he doesn't have one origin story.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I don't remember that. It's been a while, but that would definitely be an interesting take that I didn't expect.
Mind you, it does end with him. It does end with him in the hospital, though. So I'm wondering if it's a case of it is set afterwards, most likely. So, but then we are going to be dealing with the ramifications, obviously, with the Wayne's murder and Gotham going to purge at that point, because he does make Gotham riot at that point in the end of that film. Stunning film. I don't want him to lose the weight again. I think that was an interesting gimmick for the first film, but it's very damaging to actors sometimes to do that to their bodies, and again, that could be quite dangerous. And he's an amazing actor in whatever he does, and obviously with Lady Gaga being in this film and no doubt being a musical, most likely, and Lady Gaga is an amazing actress. Joaquin Phoenix is a great musician himself, because he played Johnny Cash in the Walk the Line movie.
Yeah, I've never actually seen Lady Gaga act, I don't think, so I'd be interested to see how she does that. But I kind of think she's already got the name of a Batman villain anyways, Lady Gaga.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, no, I definitely agree there. So I highly recommend watching the film A Star Is Born with her and Bradley Cooper. I've heard it's really good. I've not seen it myself, but I've heard of a lot of people watching it and really enjoyed it. And it's a movie that's been adapted 3 times now since the 50s. So I highly recommend that. Right, people, we are moving along to some really, really sad news now. It was announced yesterday that Olivia Newton-John has passed away at the age of 73. Obviously, the British-born Australian singer and actress was best known for playing Sunny in Greece, one of the most successful film musicals ever made. And obviously, she did the music video back in the 80s, Let's Get Physical. Again, really sad news. This comes from bbc.co.uk. I think Grease was probably my first big film musical. So sort of like, the first proper time I've seen John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John in a musical format, just in general. And yeah, it's really sad to see about her passing, because obviously she has passed away from cancer, age 73. And I know she's been fighting it for a long time, to be honest.
Yeah, Grease was a massive breakthrough film that's still front and center today. So, a lot of respect to her for that. But beyond the films, her music career was very noteworthy. I mean, she performed for the UK as a Eurovision entry. I can't remember what year it was, but she has been around in the entertainment industry, playing her part for some time. It's quite sad to see her go, really.
Again, it's not like, passing away in a sleep one. This was a sad sad case, and she has fought it. It obviously coming from BBC. She was first diagnosed in 1992, and she became a leading advocate of cancer research. Her charity, the Olivia Newton-John Foundation, has raised millions to support the research. But again, it's just really sad news that, she lost the fight, but she kept fighting. That's the thing, and she's going to leave an amazing legacy. That's the thing as well, If you hear Grease anywhere you go, everyone knows what that is. She will go down in history as a very iconic actress and in general for the roles and the performances she's given. And at least we can take some solace in knowing that she will always be remembered in that sense.
Yeah, she won't be forgotten anytime soon.
No, definitely not. Right, people. Obviously, we can't say much more of that. It is really sad news, to be honest. But let's move on to the next news subject now. So again, on a lighter note, which I think a lot of people are hoping for, and even this actor's coming out now and saying it, Giancarlo Esposito was at the PJH Superhero Car Show and Comic-Con in San Antonio, Texas, responding to a fan's question about, the fact that he's had discussions with Marvel. But so basically it's this is a quote from IGN from the conversation he had, a TikTok video from Countdown City Geeks. Can't pronounce that correctly. I've not worked for Marvel yet. I've been in the room with them and talked to them, Esposito said. I'm going to go for something that's a little bit different. I'm going to go and put it out in the universe that I'd like to play Professor X. So, yes, straight away. Just do it. It doesn't matter. D23, have him just come out and just be like, just put his hand to his head and just be like, yes, I am Professor Charles Xavier. Also, he has played so many villains now. He needs the opposite role. He needs, and who's more, okay, to be fair, Charles Xavier in the comic books isn't always, seen as the good character, but mostly he is seen as a good character. And who's more, leading in that sense?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I would love to see how he would handle a different role or not a non-villain role. I personally hate to see actors typecast, and often great actors will excel at doing different things, and it's always a joy to watch that.
I have to say I don't agree. So in my mind, he is a very good villain in everything that he has been a villain in. And to kind of just switch that round and him be, well, not exactly squeaky clean, but I think he would be better off it as a villain role than Professor X.
Well, I know we're definitely gonna put this out there, and like the casting, I've already got my Magneto casting sorted. Like a lot of people actually agree with this as well. So this actor, and I think he'd be perfect for the role in Magneto, and that is one Mr. Denzel Washington. Mr. Denzel Washington as Magneto and Giancarlo Esposito as Charles Xavier. I think that is a legendary pairing, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm a bit worried about their age, but yes, primarily.
But to be fair, that they are the right age that Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen were. Probably a bit younger, actually, than what they were. Yeah, okay. I mean, Patrick Stewart is almost 90. So it means he would have been, he's 86, 87 now. Yeah, Gosh. He's like almost 90. And that means he would have been about like in his 70s when he played, Professor X back in the day, or at least 65. Giancarlo Esposito is nowhere near that age, or maybe he's near his 60s. But Denzel, I know, is in his 60s. Yeah, and you need an older actor. Also, they are the right age to play for people who were there during the Civil Rights Movement as well. So, you change the story up from Magneto being a Holocaust survivor to the Civil Rights Movement. You play it up in that sense. I'm taking this from other people who've discussed it before as well. This isn't my own original idea, but yeah. So basically, he's 64. Which one, Denzel or Giancarlo?
Giancarlo.
Okay, so yeah, perfect age in my opinion. I know I was listening to another podcast the other day, New Rockstars, and they were talking about how is Kang keeping the mutants out of the MCU, and that's why we've not seen them yet in the multiverse. Now, I had another theory to this in the sense of, like, maybe he is doing that, but what if, like, because obviously the people that lead these characters are Professor X and Magneto. What if it is those two characters haven't been put in the MCU yet, and they're the driving force for all the X-Men to happen, or all the mutants to happen? Maybe that's just, the narrative to put forward. Again, it's just an idea I've had. We'll probably get into that more conversation later. I definitely want to get into a bigger discussion when they eventually announced, we are getting the X-Men movie. Fan castings for X-Men characters. I'd actually quite like to have a discussion for that. I think we're quite into that because obviously we are definitely getting another Wolverine. That's going to happen. I'd actually like them to less focus on Wolverine going forward, like him not being the front and center character. But yeah. Right. So moving off of X-Men though, looking forward to that. We need to talk about DC. Come on, right? We need to get DC out of the way now. Right. What we'll do is first we'll get to the big one in a minute. What we're gonna have to do though is talk about what they have planned first.
Yeah.
So WBD CEO David Zalez has a plan in place for DC. This comes from IGN. We have done a reset. We've restructured the business where we're going to focus where there will be a team with a 10-year plan focusing just on DC, Zalez has said. It's very similar to the structure that Alan Horn and Bob Iger got together very effectively with Kevin Feige at Disney. Zalez says that the hopes is to build a long-term, much stronger, sustainable growth business out of DC, and the company is hoping to, get focused on quality over quantity. We're not going to release any film before it's ready. We're not going to release a film to make a quarter. We're not going to release a film We're not going to release a film. The focus is going to be how do we make each of these films in general as good as possible. The WB CEO cited films already in the works, such as Black Adam, Shazam, and The Flash as the films the company very excited about. We've seen them. We think they're terrific, and we think we can make them even better. Now, I'm kind of frustrated by this. Now, they say they have a 10-year plan, right? They've already had a 10-year plan. We were supposed to have Justice League 3 soon. We were supposed to have Cyborg movie. We were supposed to have all these films coming out. And also, they keep saying that Alan Horn and Kevin Feige. Now, I know Alan Horn, I believe, is coming over to help out DC, Warner Brothers, but they don't have a Kevin Feige. They do not have this. They do not have this person. You can. It's basically what's happened is this person has come in and they've just shaken everything up. And some things have gotten shaken so loose that they've just disappeared, which I'm very pissed off with. Let's just finish off this bit before we get to the main thing. Again, I would love to see more Superman. I would love to see more, more of these movies. I'd love to see more Batfleck because I thought he was great as Batman, and we are going to be getting more of him in Aquaman 2, as I said before. But the Snyderverse wasn't correct in my opinion. It had its good things, it had its bad things, like the fact it made Batman a killer didn't work. Superman is seen as a character of hope. He wasn't seen as that in the movies. They did Doomsday way too fucking soon.
It might be controversial. It might be because I'm not a massive comic book fan, but I actually quite like Man of Steel, and I quite like the ending to that.
So Man of Steel, I actually really love the movie, and I really like Wonder Woman, and I really like Shazam. I like those movies. Aquaman I was okay with. It was all right. It was good. But Justice League, the first version, no. Fuck off. Batman vs. Superman, I had to reevaluate myself after that because there were good parts. Obviously, it gave us Ben Affleck as Batman. But the fact that they introduced Wonder Woman in that movie as well, and the character that kills Superman so early on, which is so wrong in my opinion. And the Flash was, we'll get to him.
I'd agree with you there. I think after Man of Steel, it lost its way, but Man of Steel and the ending to it, I quite liked it, and I didn't mind that aspect of Superman's character.
A more general point, like the fact they are concentrating on Kevin Feige at all and trying to mimic Marvel and trying to rush a decade worth of setup that Marvel have. Like, the market's not big enough for two Marvels. They need to be doing something very different with what they have. At the moment, they're rushing out, or have been up till now, rushing out and ruining the properties that they have. And when it doesn't do as well, they bin it, restart it. That
also, like, they're also talking about getting rid of scripted content, like scripted show content on HBO Max. And they're saying,
insane.
Like, I'm not joking you. One of the universes they want to focus on is 90 Day Fiancé. Like, they want to get rid of like big properties. Now, HBO is fine. It's really confusing, right? We have HBO Max and HBO. HBO is fine, such as Game of Thrones, stuff like that. That's fine. Yeah. HBO Max is the one that's possibly in jeopardy because there's a big news article, people worried about Peacemaker Season 2 with James Gunn. James Gunn had to come out and say, no, Season 2 is fine. We're good to go. Kevin Smith's property, he was working on an animated show that got cancelled. Harley Quinn is supposedly safe right now. Season 4 is going to be safe. That's the one I'd be pissed if they did cancel the most.
Yeah.
But when it comes to HBO Max, though, to be fair, though, a lot of countries can't get HBO Max at all because of licensing restrictions.
Yeah.
Do you want to restrict your content even more to do this? And I know they're going to be folding it into Discovery Plus in 2023. Now, wondering, folding it into Discovery Plus, could that get around the licensing issue? That could be it. But again, that's just a big concern I have with this person's come in and he just threw out a lot of stuff. Particularly the one thing we're majorly going to talk about right now, and that's Batgirl.
Yeah.
Batgirl just got canned.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
We're not, again, quoting again from IGN here, we're not going to release any film before it's ready. It wasn't ready because it wasn't done.
We're not going to release any film, ...
Now, it's just frustrating because, like, this film had its reshoots. It was going into post-production. Like, I've never heard of this happen. TV shows, yes. I've heard of pilots. Pilots are created. Game of Thrones, for example, that's correct. But when it comes to this, why?
So Discovery taking over Warner Brothers is a relatively recent phenomenon, right? I'm right in saying that.
Yes, it's very recent, yeah.
So basically, we've got Discovery execs wading in on Warner Bros. Territory and going, actually, guys, we spent the billions of pounds. We want to reset it how we think that this universe should be. And the first and main victim of that has been Batgirl, which is a real shame because, I mean, they were about to have a female lead Latin. Like, it would have done a lot for...
And Michael Keaton was going to be in it.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Brendan Fraser, that pissed a lot of people off for that because we're in the Renaissance at the moment. But I know Kevin Smith came out and he came out recently on his latest episode of Hollywood Babylon, and he's condemned Warner Brothers Discovery for axing it, basically saying it's an incredibly bad look to cancel the Latina Batgirl movie. Smith said, "I don't give a shit if the movie was absolutely fucking dog shit. I guarantee you that it wasn't. The two directors who directed that movie did a couple of episodes of Miss Marvel, and it was a wonderful fucking show. And they made more money to do Batgirl, and they had more money to do Batgirl than they had to do for an episode of Miss Marvel and stuff." Again, that's true. Like, and I'm kind of frustrated because we haven't had Batgirl yet in live action.
No,
well, we have in the 60s. That was the last. Oh, sorry, no, we did. The Batman and Robin movie with Alicia Silverstone.
Oh, right, okay.
Exactly, that was the last time we saw.
So literally a lifetime ago.
Exactly. We've had how many Batmen now? We've had how many Batmen? How many Robins?
Yeah,
fair, we haven't actually had that many Robins.
No, there was their breakthrough broadening out from just Batman. Really, it's very disappointing.
And again, like, and I know it came out that Kevin Feige sent a message to the directors. As well as other actors as well. Kevin Feige emailed them saying, "My friends, I had to reach out and let you know we are thinking of you both because of the wonderful news about the wedding. Congrats, and the disappointing news about Batgirl." Right, I'll finish this thing in a minute. This guy found out at his wedding that his film was cancelled.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
Was there a follow-up message by Kevin Feige saying, "Hey, come work for us"?
I mean, they already have.
Not surprising if you treat people like that.
So very proud of you guys for all the amazing work you did, and particularly Miss Marvel, of course, which was actually really good, to be honest. Can't wait to see what is next for you two. Hope to see you soon. And obviously, there was the lead actress came out. And she gave a few words saying, "Thank you for the love and belief, allowing me to take on the cape and become, as Babs has said, my own damn hero." That's what I'm saying. It was representation for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would be fairly confident of this film leaking onto the internet in the not too distant future.
What, do a Ryan Reynolds Deadpool leak the film on the internet?
I'm sure, like, there's got to be some disgruntled people with a full copy of the film by now, right?
Yeah, because, like, going to BBC, the directors are shocked by the cancellation. Again, it's so frustrating. Obviously, the directors came out and said, "We are saddened and shocked by the news. We still can't believe it. As directors, it is critical that our work be shown to audiences. While the film is far from finished, we wish that fans all over the world would have had the opportunity to see and embrace the final film themselves. Maybe one day they will. inshallah, I hope I pronounced that correctly, people. Our amazing cast and crew did a tremendous job and worked so hard to bring Batgirl to life. We are forever grateful to have been part of that film. It was a dream to work with such fantastic actors such as Michael Keaton, J.K. Simmons, Brendan Fraser, Jacob Scipio, Corey Johnson, Rebecca Front, and especially the great Leslie Grace, who portrayed Batgirl with so much passion, dedication, and humanity. In any case, as huge fans of Batman since we were little kids, it was a privilege and an honor to have been a part of the DCEU, even for a brief moment. Batgirl for life. I do want to point out something here, right? Now, with Batgirl, again, Leslie Grace, she was going to become a big actress from this. I'm just frustrated because we are getting Batgirl in Gotham Knights, the movie, in the video game, sorry. And we've got Batgirl in Harley Quinn. So we've got her in two different properties. Why not capitalize on that? Okay, the movie might not have been perfect, but to a lot of people, it could, as today people, it could have become a cult following. It could have had a cult approach.
It may
Yeah, and hopefully Alan Horn comes in or someone else who just goes, no, get this movie back. And what's frustrating, they wouldn't even put it on HBO Max, which is so frustrating. And also, I've heard there was talk of possibly it's to do with tax reasons as well.
No, quite possibly.
Yeah, I know businesses in Scotland are pissed because businesses in Scotland were it cost them for a month. Again,
and it was entirely filmed in Glasgow, which again, representation for Glasgow, it doesn't get a huge amount of.
Well, actually, I believe the Batman, ironically, was filmed in Glasgow and Liverpool, so I would get that gothic feel. But to be fair, the film, as going by BBC here, was already spent on the project $58 million or $70 million, £58 million. That's not a lot. That's a bit more than Deadpool.
Yeah.
Why not just release it? That's more than okay. Right. Stranger Things, the final season, the fourth season had a $300 million budget.
Yeah.
Why not just release this film?
6 times. So an episode of Stranger Things is 6 times the budget as the breakthrough.
Well, the whole season was.
Season. But still, damn, man.
I was also thinking they're going to try and write it off as a tax break.
That's what frustrates me most.
It's
like
hard up, really.
Okay, it may not have been perfect, but I would have loved to seen how they did this film. So I thought it would have been great. And also we would have got a new villain, Firefly. Mm-hmm. Brendan Fraser as Firefly, which we haven't seen in the DC. We keep doing the same villains.
Yeah.
Always the same villains. But this is where Harley Quinn, the animated show, rules, because it's done so much for the villains of the DC universe. And it's given them more depth and more three dimensionality. I hope that's what I said correctly.
Including some of the more crazy villains like Kite Man, who's actually much more fleshed out in the animation show.
Great character. I'd actually like to see him in live action if they did it in more comedic take. They'd have to do that. Hell, Condiment King. Gets there. Yeah, exactly. And I have to use the pun now. Why didn't they relish the opportunity to do this movie? Okay, right. We have to move off this now because it's a whole subject we're going to get into later on a bit more probably because we're going to get more cancellation from other shows later down the line we'll talk about. But again, right. Moving on to our next topic, moving along very quickly. It seems that, Microsoft is rolling out a 5-person family sharing Game Pass plan. This is interesting. According to the official Xbox news post, Microsoft is testing a higher price family sharing Game Pass plan that will allow up to 5 people to access the same subscription as we previously suggested. The initial rollout, this has come from PCGamer.com. The initial rollout is exclusive to Colombia and Ireland, interesting choices, and allows members of the Xbox Internet program to test out the new package. According to an Xbox spokesperson, the added members have their own unique access to Xbox Game Pass, Ultimate Games content and benefits. They also noted that the package could change based on Xbox Insider feedback. Apologies, people, if you hear a rumble in the background. It's my my washing machine going off. But basically, I'm very interested in this, to be honest. Like, a family plan for Game Pass.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can now share passwords. I assume you don't all need to be in one building to be able to use this.
I'm presuming not. That I don't think that. I mean,
maybe. We don't know.
Again, no, we do not know yet. We'll probably find out a bit later on as it goes, as we go on. Right, moving along, people. So it seems that Marvel's Midnight Suns has been delayed to an unknown date. which is quite sad, to be honest. Supposedly, this is coming from Twitter and other news articles. Apologies. This is coming from the official Midnight Suns Twitter page. We have an important update to share regarding our launch day for Marvel's Midnight Suns. After discussion with the team, we've made the decision to move back the launch time of Marvel's Midnight Suns to ensure we're delivering the best possible experience for our fans. We will launch later this fiscal year on Windows PC, Xbox X, Series X and S, and PS5, with Xbox One, PS4, Switch coming later date. We know fans are looking forward to playing Marvel's Midnight Suns, and we will use this extra time to make sure we are delivering the best possible experience for everyone. Marvel's Midnight Suns is easily the biggest game we've ever made, and we're incredibly appreciative of all the support players have shared with us throughout the years. Thank you for the Marvel's Midnight Suns team. For Access Games, 2X, 2K. How do we feel about this?
I mean, delaying a game so it, is a good game and not totally broken is always a good thing. It's interesting they've mentioned the financial year, so they are going to launch it
before March 2023.
Yeah. So it is a financial concern, so it will probably come out. It's not being binned. So
I admit it's probably a game I'm not going to play, but I've no issues with the game being delayed. Always the best experience. Just look at Cyberpunk, that was delayed, and it turned out to be a massive disaster when it was released. It doesn't always work, but on a whole, I think it is a good decision. And honestly, I just hope the game sells really well for Axis, because I want them to work on XCOM 3 and I want that to be the best it can be. So I wish them every success in Midnight Suns, and I hope XCOM 3, when I get onto it, it's going to be amazing.
It's like, good luck in the game. Now make this other goddamn game. I want to get this other goddamn game out. Just get rid of the timer. Get rid of the timer. That's all I'm asking people. Get rid of that timer from XCOM 2. Please do that. Again, for myself, it's interesting that they said the last-gen versions and Switch versions are coming at a later date. So that'll probably be in the 2024 fiscal year. But again, delaying a game isn't bad. I'm don't get me wrong, I'm a bit disappointed. You would be. You want to play a video game. It's delayed again. But again, you have to weigh it up. You can be disappointed, but you also need to understand that this happens in the games industry, and they're just trying to make the best product. And when you do eventually play it, you'll enjoy it even more. And also, probably less patches, massive patches with it as well when it comes out. That's the hope. And maybe more, more content, more tweaks, more polishing, and be really, really good and getting those extra hours into that game. Again, really look forward to the game. Bit disappointed, but I totally understand. Right, moving along very quickly. So we have Netflix gaming. So this is coming from The Verge. Right, so this is coming from The Verge. 99% of Netflix subscribers haven't tried its games yet. It sees 1.7 million daily users. Now, to be fair, 1.7 million daily users, even though it's 1%, is still a lot of players. But when you write it as 99% of subscribers haven't tried the games yet, it's kind of, interesting. It does have games such as Exploding Kittens card game, League of Legends spin-off Hex Tech Mayhem, the strategy title Into the Breach, and also plans to add a game based on the original series, The Queen's Gambit, so chess. Again, Netflix wants to double its current offerings of games to 50 titles by the end of 2022, and has acquired 3 indie game studios to help meet its goal. I don't even know how to play games on Netflix.
Yeah, same. It's badly put across, I think, at the moment. Yeah,
so this is coming from The Verge. In January, Apptopia recorded 8 million total game downloads, while data from analysis firm Sensor Tower shared 13 million in June. Subscribers on Android devices can access download games for free from either the Netflix app or Google Play Store app. Okay, so you need the phone. I think if you could play on the TV with Bluetooth connection, like with controller, that'd be good. I think because obviously you could do that with Xbox now. You could play your Xbox through your TV. Having that opportunity with Netflix would be interesting. Again, I think with the competitive market for Netflix in regards to other streaming services, it's interesting they are taking this route. Obviously, Apple has been in this game for a lot longer, and Google has as well. But Google don't have TV shows. They did try with YouTube TV, but didn't really work. Again, I might give a few of these games a go. I think I've got Into the Breach actually, but maybe write these articles as we have 1.7 million daily users, not 99% of players don't play. But obviously that catches the headline, so it's going to pull people in to read.
It does feel like Netflix is stretching itself quite thin. Like, I know they're quite big and established as a TV service, but they are already in quite a lot of debt and obviously struggling on the TV front vis-a-vis recent actions that we have discussed previously. Trying to decide that you're now an indie game publisher and acquiring game studios when you're frankly new to the market and not telling anyone about your games, even on the service you own. My gut feeling would say that this is going to end badly, but
I definitely agree. But right, people, that is our news for this week. That is our news. I think we're. I think it was a good roundup. We definitely went into a nice conversation with DC there for a little bit. Nice 10-minute discussion point. But yeah, again, we'll probably have more conversations with. We actually are thinking about topics about cancelled films or cancelled TV shows at some point down the line. What if we'd like to see them return, or maybe if you reboot them, how we'd actually take that approach. But right, people, that is our news. We're going to take a little bit. We're going to take a little break now. But after the break, we're going to come back and talk about our favorite cult movies. See you after the break.
An illegal spy agency discovers the theft of a prototype weapon. Derek, codename Confused Llama, and his handler, Frank, codename Majestic Vole, investigate the theft. A naive man with fanciful notions, Derek sets out on his inept journey to reclaim the weapon from villainous hands, unaware of the hidden tale following him. Enter the world of Confused Llama, A Spy's Tale, a short comedic spy thriller available on Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
Right, people, and welcome back. Obviously, go check out, as I like to say all the time, go check out James's book. Also, I hope you enjoyed the little Doug in the Smoking Jacket advert with that. I actually took me a bit of time to do, but I think that actually works out quite well. Right, so, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, I think it's great. Cheers for that, mate.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I hope you enjoy it. Right, people. So, as we mentioned in the part one of the show, we are going to be getting into our favorite cult movies. Now, when it comes to cult movies, it's interesting because a lot of these movies were out when we weren't born or we were very young. So by the time it came to us, it seemed there was a big popularity. So we could see them as, why were these cult movies? Why were these movies seen in this way? And it's nice to actually just get into a brief discussion and a little discussion on each of these movies and possibly why that is. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be going through a top 5 with maybe 2 or 3 honorable mentions each. We won't be getting much into the honorable mentions, just a quick brief talk about them. And then we're getting into the top 5 with speak a few minutes on each one, brief discussion, then move on to the next one. So, right, let us start off with Wikipedia. Yes, people, such a lovely wealth of knowledge to go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia's definition of a cult movie. A cult film, also commonly referred to as a cult classic, is a film with a cult following. Obscure or unpopular with mainstream audiences, or often revolutionary or ironically enjoyed. Sometimes the definition is expanded to exclude films that have been released by major studios or have big budgets. Try specifically to become cult films or become accepted by mainstream audiences or critics. Cult films are defined as such by audience reaction as they are by content. For me, though, the way I define a cult film is, which isn't always good, because I'll get on to one of my films in a minute, is when the film's initially released, it's the box office numbers that's seen for it. It's a film that has a big, great raving reviews, but for some reason the box office just didn't do well for it initially. Really did not. And that's how I define a cult movie. If I really enjoyed the film but it didn't do well at the box office for a multitude of reasons, see how that goes. This won't play out for one of the films I'm about to talk about for my honorable mentions. We'll get to that in a second. But right, so how should we do this today? I think we'll do alphabetical order today, actually. So I think we'll start with Fergus. Fergus, do you want to give us your honorable mentions?
So my honorable mention, I guess, would be The Big Lebowski. It didn't quite make the list because I'm not especially familiar with its cult following, but it is a very good film. Definitely worth watching. I must have seen it 2 or 3 times now. Yeah, very interesting. Brief plot rundown. There are 2 guys called Lebowski, and one guy just wants his rug back.
I mean, and he definitely likes his milk.
Oh yeah, Yeah, he really does.
And one man definitely likes his guns. And yeah,
Yes.
that's a great film. That almost hit my honorable mentions list. I tried to cut it down to 2 for myself, but The Big Lebowski did have a spin-off movie, The Jesus Rolls, with John Turturro coming back as Jesus, which I thought was hilarious that they did a
I
spin-off
did
sequel.
not see that.
Yeah, also serving as writer and director of the movie. So yeah, there was actually a spin-off sequel of that. So maybe check that out, Fergus. Obviously, the budget for this film was $15 million. It came out with a box office of 46. That's pretty good for a $15 million budget. It made 3 times its budget back. But again, since a cult movie, nice choice, dude. Nice choice. Right, James, do you want to give us your honorable mentions if you have any?
I'll give one honourable mention, and that's a film called Smoking Aces. I'm not sure if it counts as a cult movie, but I think it does. It's not something that's massively popular, but and there's a little bit of mixed reviews on it quite often. But I think it's a thoroughly entertaining film about a bunch of different assassins trying to assassinate the same person and also competing with each other. It's plays whole thing for kind of it's got quite a dark sense of humour for the movie, and you just like a good bit of fun action, then I recommend it.
I totally forgot Ben Affleck was in this film.
Yep.
Totally forgot. So many good actors in this movie. So many good actors. I may have to give this a rewatch again soon, actually. May have to definitely give this a rewatch. Yeah, awesome sauce. Right, moving on to my honorable mentions. The first one is a little movie called The Thing. Obviously, when this movie initially came out, it was actually released to negative reviews, described as instant junk, a wretched excess, and proposed as the most hated film of all time by a film magazine, Cine Fantastique. Reviews praised both, but reviews did praise the special effects achievements and criticized their visual repulsiveness, while others found the characterization poorly realized. I disagree with that. Many reasons for this cited failure to impress audiences: competition such as E.T., which offered a more optimistic take on alien visitation, a summer which filled with the audiences, which have been filled with successful science fiction and fantasy films, an audience in for a recession, etc. The film had a $15 million budget, and it only made $19.6 million back in America. Obviously, very brief rundown. Men get stuck in a Arctic research station, and an alien presence comes in, but the alien starts taking over people's bodies, and you don't know who it is. And there is multiple scenes in this movie that fucked me up when I was younger.
So basically, it's Among Us.
Yes, well, it is kind of, yeah. Well, Among Us is based on that, and also The Thing is actually based on It's actually based on a book from the 1940s, 1950s. And obviously there was actually an original film actually created in the 50s, which I didn't know. And I believe that Blumhouse is actually trying to do a remake of The Thing. So I'd be very interested. There was the prequel that came out in 2011, 2012. It wasn't great. It was very CGI heavy, and it did end as the first movie began, which was interesting. But yeah, and there was video games which were set after the movie. So it did actually give it a continuation on. So again, and it starred Kurt Russell and Keith David and a bunch of other actors. Yeah, so that was one of my options. The other one, which I mentioned before, is the fact that box office isn't always determinant for a cult movie, and that is the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
We'll get back to this one.
Okay, then. Well, okay, we'll get back to it in a bit then. We'll definitely get back to it in a bit. Right, then. Well, I guess we'll round back to our number 5s then. Fergus, do you want to hit us up with your number 5?
Number 5. I don't know if you've ever heard of this one, but Cruel Intentions, 1999. This is Sarah Michelle Gellar, Reese Witherspoon, and Ryan Felipe. Quite young versions of themselves. 2 vicious step siblings in an elite Manhattan prep school make a wager to deflower the new headmaster's daughter. It's sort of quite high grade, American high school elite, like psychological mind games action. It is pretty sadistic. I think I was probably too young when I first watched this, but it's one of those films that definitely does make an impression. It's good. Definitely seek it out if you haven't seen it already. It's American Pie, but it's not funny. It's more psychological mind games because it's kind of the same era, the same kind of actor crowd, same genres, drama, romance. Yeah, I guess that's technically correct. Kind of funny. I haven't got a box office in front of me, but I don't imagine it did especially well.
So supposedly, right, the budget was 10.5 million. The box office was 75.9 million.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I consider it a bit niche, but
So if you hear that in the background, people, we've got a food delivery appearing. So yeah.
Yum.
And my camera's vibrating because my washing machine's currently going. So if you hear that in the background, people, I do apologize. Right. So moving on to James, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is a film called Beetlejuice.
Ah, okay. I never thought to put this on my list, actually.
Yeah. Michael Keaton, I think it was just before he was Batman. And I mean, he's basically the reason this film is so good. His performance is fantastic. So you got like zany kind of like performance, like a lot of comics, I suppose, like Jim Carrey, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just this really larger than life character. We'll talk about what the film is for those of you who might not actually know. So Beetlejuice is a 1988 American fantasy horror comedy film, and thank you, Nate, for showing this on the stream so I can just read it off Wikipedia. Directed by Tim Burton, blah, 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 blah. The plot revolves around a recently deceased couple who, as ghosts haunting their former home, contact Beetlejuice, who's Mark Keaton, who's an obnoxious and devious bioexorcist from the netherworld, to scare away the house's new inhabitants.
Great movie. Great. I honestly never thought to put this on my list, to be honest, because I said it has one of the actresses in it who's in one of my favorite shows of recent times, Schitt's Creek, Catherine O'Hara, and Winona Ryder.
I thought you were going to say Winona Ryder. Yeah,
that as well. For Stranger Things, because she had a resurgence. But great movie. I haven't seen this in quite a while, to be honest. And I know they are looking to do a sequel, so very interesting how they could pull that off. Interesting indeed. Right, moving along to my number 5. Now, I don't know if this might be higher on your guys' list at all, but my number 5 is Blade Runner. Will this appear later?
No, I mean, the only reason I didn't put it on my list is because I knew somebody else would have it on their list.
That is fair. Now, some people might kill me for putting this at my number 5, specifically compared to some of the other films which are higher for me, but I think for me it was, I only finally saw Blade Runner, the final cut, the proper version that was supposed to be seen about 4 or 5 years ago for the first time. And I think it sort of passed me by a little bit, but still seeing it, I really greatly appreciated the movie. I loved, the visuals were stunning for the time period. I still think it holds up today. Well, maybe not as much as today, but the fact that we've passed the point where this was supposed to happen is hilarious as well. When this movie first came out, it had a budget of 30 million. It only made 41 million at the box office, which is quite shocking to me, to be honest. So basically, obviously, it's based on the novel Do Androids Dream of Electricity by Philip K. Dick, in the dystopian future of Los Angeles in 2019, in which synthetic humans known as replicants are bioengineered by the Tyrell Corporation to work on space colonies. When a fugitive group of advanced replicants led by Roy Batty, played by Rutger Hauer, escape back to Earth, burnt out cop Rick Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, were categories to hunt them down. This movie performed, quite bad at the box office, but it was praised. It was quite praised for, its complexity and visuals. This is going by, obviously, Wikipedia's definition of it. And obviously they did do, continuous things there on and inspirations. It was a big inspiration for a lot of sci-fi and cyberpunk going forward. And they did have the sequel, Blade Runner 2049, which I actually quite enjoyed, to be honest. I thought it was a really good movie. And it has a great soundtrack by Vangelis, who recently passed away. Really enjoyed this movie. I'm wondering if they'd ever do a remake. It would be interesting if they ever did that, to be honest. Obviously, we had a sequel, but would we need a remake? I know they had that recent video game that came out that was supposed to be a remake of the remaster of the original. It didn't work out, but it'd be very interesting to see. So that's my number 5. Fergus, let's hop on to your number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Donnie Darko. Have you seen this?
I have indeed.
I am not a big fan of this movie. I don't know
Are
why.
you not?
I've never been a big fan. I've watched it once, and I don't know. It was just, I guess I just wasn't into like that sort of like thing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty unique concept wise, I think. Like the way it kind of deals with the character sort of isolation and I guess issues in general, I think. If you've not seen it before, this is a 2001 film where Donnie, who is Jake Gyllenhaal, interestingly.
Oh,
After narrowly escaping a bizarre accident, a troubled teenager is plagued by visions of a man in a large rabbit suit who manipulates him to commit a series of crimes. I think that rather undersells it as a premise because
Oh yeah.
it explores quite a lot of very interesting concepts. I'm pretty sure the world's ending. When isn't the world ending?
It's quite
28
different.
days. That's what I'm reading here.
It's written and directed by Richard Kelly. The most breakthrough star of this film is Jake Gyllenhaal, I think.
And his sister's in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it was a fairly low budget indie-ish production for 1999.
Had a budget of 4.5 million, only made a box office of 7.5.
It's definitely done better than that in the intervening years. Everyone knows Donnie Darko.
Sure. That's interesting. I mean, when it comes to this movie, obviously, I believe this was one of Patrick Swayze's last movies as well. Like he passed away in he passed away in 2009. So, but I believe Donnie Darko was in that area of films he did going forward. But again, an interesting concept for a movie. I don't know. When it came to it, I was very, I don't know what it was. I really don't know. I think like it was quite dark, and I think at the time period I just wasn't into those sorts of movies. Again, I can look back on the movie and appreciate it, and obviously it's highly regarded among a bunch of people, and how these movies play out today in cult cinema. I definitely think that is done well. So James has popped away for a couple of minutes, so we're gonna skip over to my number 4, and then we'll come back to James in a minute. Know that if he comes back, I'll reinform him for what it's going to be. But yes, people, right. My number 4 is a little movie. Never give up, never surrender. Galaxy Quest.
I did think this would show up.
Damn right it does. Obviously, amazing Star Trek, not Star Trek movie. This movie is brilliant. This movie is absolutely brilliant. So basically, James has returned. He has returned from the nether to give us his presence. But we skipped over to my number 4, which is Galaxy Quest.
Also on one of mine on my list, so I'll call that number 4 on mine. It's not,
interesting.
But it's on the list.
Well then, I guess we'll come back to the mix. We haven't actually truly gone into a discussion of this, but we'll get back to it in a little bit then. So James, we'll roll over to your number 4 then.
Oh, okay. My actual number 4. So I'm hoping this, in my opinion, this classifies as a cult film. But would you consider a Batman film to be a cult film?
Which one?
Mask of the Phantasm. It's
Ooh.
an animated. It's a sorely underappreciated animated Batman film, which is why I've chosen it. So it's not one of the main films. It's a film which a lot of people probably don't know, but it's actually really, really good. So if you're a fan of the Batman animated series, or you're just a fan of Batman in general and haven't heard about this film, I definitely recommend watching it.
Yeah, no, I do you know what? I definitely agree with that. And like just looking at the box office now, so it was actually praised by critics when it first came out for the visual style, voice performances, story, but the box office was quite bad for it. It actually made less than its budget. So I think when it comes to that,
it didn't market it at all.
And obviously it came out on Christmas Day 1993. That is a weird time to. I never understood why you released a film on Christmas Day, to be honest. Mind you, in America, I believe a lot of people go to the cinema on Christmas sometimes, so I don't know if that's a thing over there. But yeah, I'll be honest with you, dude. I've never actually seen Mask of the Phantasm all the way through.
Really?
I've seen reviews of it.
I've got it on DVD if you want to buy it.
I've actually got it. I purchased it. I haven't rewatched it. I watched a few reviews for it, but again, I know you've said though that if they did do a Batman story outside the Court of Owls, this is the story you'd actually like them to do in live action.
I think that's what you said when we talked about it tonight. No, I wouldn't have this live action myself. I mean, it might be interesting. I mean, it's an idea. It might be interesting to have that aspects of it potentially with Phantasm, but I'm not sure it's necessarily the one that I would go with. If it was to adapt something.
Fair enough. But yeah, again, for a film that came out in 1993, though, it still definitely holds up to today. Like a lot of animated films don't usually hold up, but I think this especially does, from what I've seen of it, at least anyway.
It would just put a little side note. If it was to adapt something, adapted into a live action for Batman, it would probably be the animated series introduction of Frost.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Indeed.
Mr. Freeze, that's the one.
Yes, of course. Yeah. No. Right, people. We're now going on to our number threes. Our number threes with Fergus. What is your number three?
At number 3, we have Being John Malkovich.
I've never seen this.
Have you not?
I have.
It is so good.
It's great.
It is an absolute powerhouse of acting from John Malkovich himself. This is a 1999 film where a puppeteer discovers a portal that leads literally into the back of the head of the movie star John Malkovich. So there is they discover like a secret floor on this office block. And in this floor, there is a door. If you go through this door, you become John Malkovich for a set period of time. And of course, it leads to all kinds of weirdness. So they eventually open this door to a bunch of people, and like just people keep becoming actually John Malkovich. I don't think they initially realize that they actually become John Malkovich. They think it's just some kind of trip or something. But then John Malkovich himself gets involved in the door with John Malkovich, and then just lots of John Malkoviching goes on. It's
a very surreal movie, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Director Spike Jonze, main stars Cameron Diaz, John Cusack, Catherine Keener, and of course John Malkovich.
Also Charlie Sheen, I just saw.
Oh yeah. Highly recommend watching this. Again, very strange, but if you're up for watching John Malkovich play lots of different people for 2 hours, absolutely go for it.
Fair enough. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Fergus. This has actually been on my list for quite a few years, to be honest. I'm definitely gonna have to give it a watch at some point. Maybe after we've done this, I'll probably watch them and give a little mini review as we go forward. Right, people. We're now swinging along to James's number 3.
Yeah, probably a little bit outdated now. Everybody now with the advent of remote working, but it's a film that's all about the drudgery of working in an office, and it is Office Space.
Yeah, it's good.
It is good. Highly recommend it. It's a comedy film by Mike Judge, the guy who's responsible for Beavis and Butthead, which I haven't watched. I don't know. It's not my kind of thing.
No, it never was mine.
It's very different.
It's very different. Office Space is highly recommended. It's not as crass as the aforementioned show. So if you like, if you like your comedy and you like your satire in particular of the Office Space, then Office Space is where it's at.
Well, I think we all know that meme, don't we?
I was going to say, is this the one with the printer?
Yes. Well, yes. With every all attack the printer. Yeah.
Also, the whole if you could just get this done meme as well.
Yeah.
Definitely comes from that. Yeah. Again, a film I've not seen either.
I've got it on DVD.
Also, he's the co-creator of King of the Hill as well.
Yeah.
And I believe did he do Dodgeball? I believe did he do Dodgeball? I'm just gonna have to confirm this now because I swear he did. Now I'm probably wrong. We'll probably find out in a second. But no, I can't see it. I know. Yeah. Again, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I may cut that part out. But who knows? Anyway, right. Again, it's a film I've seen for quite a while, like going about and everything. But I've just never watched it myself, and I'm gonna have to add it to the list. Right. So going to my number 3 now. It's a film I rave about. It's an anime I spoke about last week. That movie is probably the highest budget on this list entirely. That's Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers is received mostly negative for film reviews when it came out. However, in retrospect, reviews have become more positive, with many critics highlighting the film's political satire. It grossed $54 million in the US, a total of $121 million worldwide. The problem was, though, it was the budget. It had a $105 million budget. So it made less than 19 million over its, about 17 million over its budget, which is quite bad for a big sci-fi movie. Obviously, this did spawn 2 sequels. Do not watch them. Maybe watch the third one for the case of the third one for the Marauders, the mech suits, and also they have this really terrible music number, but it goes into like heavy Christianity in that movie. It's very, very weird. And also the brain bug, there's a massive like space vagina in that movie. It's very, very weird film. And just don't watch the second one because it's literally 2 sets. That's it. It's awful. The first one though, I love the first movie. I watched it when I was younger. Maybe shouldn't have done. But like all of us, we definitely most likely watched this when we were younger, thinking it was like just a standard sci-fi movie like Star Wars or something. Really wasn't. Especially in the first 5 minutes of this movie. Obviously, it follows Johnny Rico and his exploits in the Rebel Infantry, a futuristic military unit. Rico's military career progresses from recruit to non-commissioned officer and finally to officer against the backdrop of an interstellar war between mankind and insectoid species known as arachnids. This movie, it was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, but lost to Titanic. I can see that. If Titanic wasn't there, though, it would have won, because rewatching this film today, apart maybe the space sequences not as much, but the alien bugs really do hold up. Majorly hold up, in my opinion. Obviously, this movie doesn't really take a lot from the original novel. It takes like some of the characters, some of the narratives of it, but it pulls its own thing, because the director had a big issue just trying to get through this. It actually did have like an animated TV series come out, which I thought was brilliant back in the early 2000s. And it had 2 computer animated movies, Invasion and Traces of Mars, which Caspar Van Dien came back to play. And it starred Mr. Neil Patrick Harris as his best friend in the movie, which always makes me giggle to being part of that film as Carl Jenkins. Love this movie. I think the soundtrack is brilliant. Anytime I play XCOM, the Starship Troopers theme has to play at some point in that game. I played that song basically every time my housemates knew I was playing XCOM. I played that in my final mission. The new games were pretty good as well that came out recently. But yeah, that was that's my number 3. So Fergus, let's bring it around to your number 2.
Number 2 is the previously mentioned The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Excellent.
1975 comedy horror musical. Newly engaged couple have a breakdown in an isolated area and must seek shelter from the bizarre residence of Dr. Frank Infurter. If you know this film, you know this film.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Very much so.
There's a lot to be said about this, to be honest. Starring Tim Curry himself, Susan Sarandon, and Barry Bostwick, and Meatloaf.
Also, Richard O'Brien.
Yes, absolutely.
Crystal Maze.
Yeah. A lot of very big characters came together to make this film. I think, it's my understanding, when they were originally given the rights to make the play that this is based on, this was not the expected result by the rights holders. The film has been taken in a very different direction to how the original play originally played out, but all the better for it. Like, this is one of these films where people will turn up to specialist cinemas in fancy dress to do sing-alongs with each other. Like, it's got a massive community behind it.
I have always said if I turned up, I would go dressed as Frankenfurter. Maybe not the heels because I'm accident prone, but I will wear the corset. I will wear the pants. Everything. I will do everything. I will. You know me, guys. Of course, I'd do it. You know, I only saw this movie. Like, I knew Time Warp growing up.
Yeah.
I knew of Sweet Transvestite, but I never saw the film until I was at university at all. It was only when I went to university that I actually saw this movie for the first time. Yeah,
it took me a while to actually get around to watching it, but it is quite something. It's an experience to be experienced, and if you get really into it, there is a community that will meet yearly in your town in fancy dress to sing along to it.
There's actually a video on YouTube I highly recommend. It's a bunch of celebrities getting together for like an anniversary of it, and they each do a song from it. And one of the people who does the Sweet Transvestite song, he puts everything into that song. Like, it is so good. Like, really good. And again, was this Tim Curry's breakout role?
Possibly. I don't know what he was doing before 1975.
Obviously, you know, he was It and stuff like that. But when it comes to Tim Curry, though, so he was in Hair, Midsummer Night's Dream. So so Once Upon a Time, So again, I think this was his big, like, if we're thinking big performances, this probably was his actual big performance.
This is the first thing in his listing of acting credits that I recognise for sure, and it was it was acting from 1968. It's kind of like guy in TV series, waiter, this sort of thing. Policeman number 2, and then it just comes out as Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then Tim Curry was Tim Curry forevermore.
But surely his breakout role is Red Alert 3.
Yes, that's probably not listed on IMDb's best film acting. Brace.
I will say though, going by the budget in the box office, it is disgusting how much this made.
Oh, it's still making money. It's still making money.
The budget was $1.4 million. Its box office was $226 million. That's pretty much over a 200% increase. No, yeah. That's insane. That's highly ever heard of. And as you said, like, you could go to a club, you could go to a bar. As soon as this song comes on, everyone always knows the lyrics and always singing and whatnot. Yeah, it's just insane. And this movie's brilliant. And I know when they did the remake for TV recently, they had Tim Curry come back as the narrator in the wheelchair because obviously he had a stroke, so he couldn't play that part again. But I bet if he didn't have that stroke, he would have tried to play Frankenfurter again. That would have been interesting. Or maybe the host of the home. Love this film. Still can't believe it took me so long to watch it. Again, brilliant film, excellent choice. Right, James, do you want to give us your number 2?
I will, but first of all, I didn't realise that Tim Curry was in Dragon Age Origins.
Oh, okay.
That's a little bit of tidbit there. It's good that Red Alert 3 didn't sully him from video game acting. So my number 2 is actually what we were about to talk about earlier, which is Galaxy Quest.
Excellent choice.
Yeah, so this is like a sci-fi spoof of Star Trek, but in many ways it has been, it's almost, even though it's comedy, it's always been thought about by a lot of Star Trek fans as almost a Star Trek film in and of itself, because it's that respectful of the Star Trek mythology while still being very, very funny.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Obviously, what I mentioned before has like amazing actors: Tim Curry, Tim Curry, all the Tims, Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, obviously the late and amazing Alan Rickman, Tony Shalhoub, Sam Rockwell, Daryl Mitchell. Also, it stars Enrico Colantoni. You definitely recognize the actor Justin Long, Rainn Wilson from The Office, which a lot of people forget. And also Missy Peel as well. Obviously, I know Tony Shalhoub from Monk. Obviously, Alan Rickman is just, amazing in the entire film. Sigourney is Tim Allen as well. Yeah, this film, I think it's a case of, like, the fact they played against type in the movie. Like, it's a case of, well, maybe not played against type, but they played into type in the sense of actors. Some of them were just over the whole sci-fi role and everything, like, that they played, and the main actor is just engrossed in it. This is the William Shatner of, this world. He is the actor who's like so engrossed in his community and this narrative. When it comes to the actual movie itself, I love the fact, obviously we're getting spoilers, people, for this sort of stuff. The one thing I love about this movie is they do a major joke with the red shirt, which I thought was hilarious with this movie. Like the whole, Sam Rockwell's character dies in one of the episodes of the show. We won't go on to mine. Just go watch the movie, people. But his character is hilarious in the movie. I rewatched this movie last year again, and it still holds up to this day. Like, it really does. And the whole, like, aliens seeing Earth's videos as historical documents and using them as, like, the reference for their entire society is a very interesting concept. Especially since all we've sent out so far is mathematical equations and pictures of, people. And again, imagine, right, if, like, they watch Star Trek now, they watch what we watch as Star Trek, and they actually, aliens come down to a planet, dude. That would be hilarious, but also creepy and weird. Obviously, I know they've been trying to get this going, so it's confirmed, like, the journey continues, but obviously, Anna Rickman would have passed away, has passed away now. No doubt, I bet when the film does happen or the series does happen, it will play a big part into the narrative of, like, Alan Rickman's character passing away. I think that'll be a big part of the narrative, like, trying to continue the legacy of this character passing the movie. Again, brilliant movie, people. Highly recommend it. Got any more to say, James?
By Grandfather's Hammer. I can't remember the rest of it.
By Grandfather's Hammer, I shall avenge thee.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. Right, my number 2. This is my number 2 superhero movie of all time, but it is classed as a cult movie of all time. And that, my fair people, is Dredd. Dredd is my number 2 cult movie. It had a budget of 30 to 45 million, only made 41 million, which it pisses me off because this movie is brilliant. Again, I probably won't go into discuss this too much because we talked about in the TVs. Go listen to our top 5 superhero series and listen to my number 2 for that. This is my number 2 there as well. When they eventually do a sequel to this, or like, the possible Mega City 1, they need to bring Carl Urban back. They need to bring this cast back and this visual setting back. They can't just forget it because everyone loved this visual setting. You speak of Dredd to anyone, and I've not heard a single person badmouth this movie at all in any sense. Because both of you have seen it, correct?
I don't think I have seen Dredd.
Oh my god!
I know.
Shock, horror. You've seen it, James, haven't you?
I have not. I've not seen it.
Wow. Okay, so everyone has homework this weekend. I'm going to be watching Office Space and Smoking Aces again, and a few other properties and a few other films. You guys are going to be watching Dredd.
Yeah.
And also, The good thing about Dredd is it is only 95 minutes long. Perfect movie length. It's basically, obviously, it's based on the 2000 AD property. Judge Dredd gets stuck with a rookie for the day, Judge Anderson, and they are forced to bring order to a 200-story high-rise block of apartments to deal with the resident drug lord, Mama. And it's a judgment day. Or as the Morbius crowd would know, it's judging time. And I really shouldn't put that in the same category as this, but the music in this movie, the electronic in the music in this movie is disgustingly good. I'm not a huge fan of electronic music myself, like heavy drum and bass, maybe not drum and bass music, but electronic rock music. I'm not hugely into that myself, but this movie does an amazing job with its visuals for the budget it has, the visual aesthetics especially, and how they portrayed this character. And also, he never takes off his helmet once. You see him suiting up at the beginning, but you never see him take off his helmet, which I think was very great. And I know Carl Urban loves his character. Right. Go listen to our 2 top superhero episodes for me to talk about that more. But right, we're going to get to our number ones now, people. Our number ones. Fergus, what is your number 1 cult movie of all time?
Number 1 cult movie, for me at least, is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. This is a 1998 film starring Johnny Depp, Benicio del Toro, and Tobey Maguire. Very young Tobey Maguire, admittedly. Like, this is going to be one of his first acting roles.
Oh, wow.
In a film, at least. Directed by Terry Gilliam. Writers Hunter S. Thompson, Terry Gilliam, and Tony Grassoni. How much do you know about Hunter S. Thompson?
Is the reporter, right?
Yes. Gonzo journalism, kind of like 60s, 70s. This is kind of, I say, not loosely based off him as a character rather than a biopic. So the plot description IMDb gives is an oddball journalist and a psychopathic lawyer travel to Las Vegas for a series of psychedelic escapades. Doesn't do it justice, really. I've just seen its shockingly low Metascore of 41. I don't agree with that. So this is kind of like a love letter to the end of the 60s hippie psychedelic drug use decade, so Summer of Love. So this is kind of like the last hurrah with everything's acceptable. It is very druggy. Like, people turn into lizards, carpets melt, this sort of thing, but it's normal, I guess. It is really quite a deep film, really. I've seen this quite a few times now, but it is a very entertaining road trip on top of everything, because they get into some really wacky adventures. Again, Las Vegas on drugs, it'll be an intense experience, which it is. I definitely recommend it. I think its audiences might be on the niche side, hence its cult status, but I think people who get behind it and get behind Hunter S. Thompson and the gonzo journalism era would really be into this film.
Well, I have not seen this film. Everyone. I think a lot of people know of Fear of Loathing in Las Vegas. To be honest, it's a big thing. Also, just looking at the cast. So Cameron Diaz is in the film. Gary
Yes.
Busey, Christina
Yes.
Ricci, Kristen Maloney, like Vern Troyer is even in this movie. Like a lot of actors. I'm definitely gonna have to give this a go. That's the good thing. People like take these list people and use them as a reference base. Because again, with the anime shows, I'm probably gonna watch a couple of the ones Fergus recommended. Probably not the others. But definitely with some of these today, I'm definitely gonna watch where. So hopefully you take that way, people yourselves as well. But we're going to go from Fergus's number one, thank you, Fergus, to James's number one.
And also one of my favourite films of all time, if not my favourite film of all time, which is In Bruges. This is a film which, in my opinion, it's probably Colin Farrell's best performance in a film. He's amazing in this film. It's a film by Martin McDonagh. I praise anything that guy does, as I love everything I've seen of him. It's about it's a very dark, humorous film. It's about a couple of hitmen who are being moved to In Bruges after a mishap during a hit. I'm not going to spoil the twists and turns in the film because there are many. And there's a lot of dark, witty humour throughout the film. I thoroughly recommend it.
I believe there is not a sequel coming to this, but there's a new film coming out quite soon with Brendan Gleeson and...
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with this, but it's by Martin McDonagh as well, and I'm 100% going to watch that.
Okay, maybe we will do a review for that, people. I've never actually seen In Bruges. Actually, I'm definitely probably going to watch this. Thank you very much, James. Thank you. And I know you definitely. Every time we talk about these sorts of films, this always usually comes up, and I feel guilty that I haven't watched it yet, so I'm definitely going to have to watch it now. Right. So my number one movie is my favorite movie of all time. It's I could put this in a sci-fi category, a video game category, in my opinion. You could class this as a video game movie as well. It's a cult movie. It's a movie called The Last Starfighter. This movie, it's a 1984 space opera directed by Nick Castle. The film follows Alex Rogan, a teenager who, actually, let's go off the wiki. Let me go for myself here. Basically, Alex Rogan, played by Lance Guest, he's a teenager who lives in a trailer park in America in the 80s. And there's this arcade machine, Starfighter arcade machine. And he thinks he's just trying to get the top score for this arcade machine. He's doing amazing, getting the top score. Also stars a very, very young Will Wheaton as well. Fun little fact there. But it turns out that this arcade machine is a training module for an intergalactic space force that's training its next career of space fighter pilots against Zerg and the Kodan Armada. Always remember that. And as Centaur, the recruiter, comes down to Earth, replaces his body with a mutant version of himself, which freaked me the fuck out when I was younger, because when he's being created, it's like this goopy mess with its eyeballs not fully formed, and it's just like breathing, like it's very creepy for a sort of thing, time period. Gets taken into space in a space DeLorean, because obviously it's the 80s. The ships in this movie are just stunning. The design was amazing. The fact that like the music for this, if I could get away with like the copyright of this music, what I'm going to do is, people, I'm going to put in the description the YouTube link, or just search the Last Starfighter theme song. So as I'm talking about this right now, play the theme song as we go through. The theme song to me is up there with Star Wars, in my opinion. It's like, it has this like very passionate like build up to the music and this lovely undertone when it goes to the silent bits. And it's just such an amazing film. And I know the writer who wrote Rogue One, co-wrote Rogue One, has been trying to get The Last Starfighter off the ground for many years now. And he actually did a pitch called The Last Starfighter, based on the main character's daughter and children, which would be a very interesting concept. Again, I know a few people who've seen this film, but this is the first ever film I can remember growing up, and it's the first ever sci-fi film I watched. And again, I just love it. I really do love this film. And have you ever heard of the show Future Man?
Yes, I see. I've seen all three series, and I quite like that film.
So yeah,
I like that series.
Same premise at the start of that show. A video game is sent back in time to train the next fighter up, and ironically, they referenced The Last Starfighter in the first episode. It's majorly referenced. That's how they got around it, essentially, because the rights are sort of in limbo. But again, this is my number one film of all time because also, along with Tron, it has the distinction of being one of the cinema's earliest films to use extensive real-time CGI to depict its spaceships, starships, environments, and battle scenes. I believe it was created in the process before Tron, but Tron came out just before. So Tron sort of came up there in that regard. Budget 15 million, only made 29 million at the box office. There's not really many big actors in this movie, like Robert Preston. If you were in the 80s, you'd probably know who this actor was. Will Wheaton, obviously, is probably one of the bigger actors, obviously, to this day. But again, I love this film, and it's my number one. And go check it out, people. The CGI, I'll tell you now, the CGI does not hold up today by any standards because it is like very early 80s. But the music alone is amazing. Also, one of the other actors, one of the other characters, Greg, he kind of does look very odd. He's like a turtle shell kind of character. But again, love this film. It's classed as a cult movie, but again, my favorite film of all time, and it would be classed in the cult category. So yeah, that's my number one.
I've not seen this at all, but I'm going to have to check this out, I think.
It's actually quite difficult to get a hold of, to be honest. Like, I believe it is on Amazon, but I don't believe the HD version is. Hopefully it is, because I highly recommend watching it in HD, because it'll be very grainy, not in HD.
Also, just seeing that last sentence of the Wikipedia. In 2004, it was also adapted to an off-Broadway musical.
Oh, yeah. No, I listened to the soundtrack for that. It is... I love Broadway, but yeah, couldn't listen to that music much, to be honest.
Fair.
But yeah, right, okay. Well, people, Fergus is number one, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. James is number one, In Bruges. My number one, The Last Starfighter. A very great list of loads of cult movies there, people. But as you know, people, now the end is near, and so we close the podcast curtain. My friends, Fergus and James, thank you for joining me today on the show.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you, but I can't sing, but it has been a pleasure.
Why, thank you, James, for trying that. I'm going to stop singing right now. No, people, it's been absolutely great to have you all back here again today. Again, I'd like to thank James and Fergus for joining me today on this venture into the cult movie phenomenon. Maybe we'll do cult TV shows in the future, or something we'd actually like to get into, movies and TV shows that were cancelled too soon, they would like to see revived, and if they did revive them, how could they reboot them? Because there's actually been some interesting reboots, because we are actually getting a Quantum Leap sequel, which is going to be interesting, because that did have an open ending, to be honest. Right, people. Again, we are going into the outro now, people. Thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions, queries, or compliments, feel free to email us at nmipodcast@outlook.com. That's nmipodcast@outlook.com. With any questions, queries, compliments, maybe give us your favorite cult films of all time. If you've seen any of these films, give us your opinions. If you have any, if you disagree with us on some of these, please do that. We definitely look forward to reading that out. Obviously, also email us at feedback@nmicast.com. That will loop us into the other one there. So go do us that as well. Obviously, check out our YouTube versions as well. At the moment, the YouTube versions of the Pixel Talking versions will be coming out a little bit later, maybe a day or two later with editing time. But go check them out there as well. We have a video evidence as well. We can see the things on screen. You can see us as we're talking through them, images and everything, little examples. When it comes to, listening to our show, obviously you're listening to it on Spotify or whatever listening platform you do. But if you are listening on another platform, make sure to search for us, NMI-when you need more info. Or if you want to search for our socials, at NMIcast. That's at NMIcast on Twitter, Instagram, all those lovely things. Search for us on Linktree and all of our links will be there. Right, people. I've been your host, Nate. Thank you again to Fergus and James for joining me today. We will see you next week for a lovely, lovely show again for episode 33. Speak to you soon, everyone. Stay safe, Starfighter. See you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.